Hello, this is Yvonne from JK Lifestyles with Yvonne. This is another segment of It's On with Yvonne. And sometimes I sit and I think about certain things that happened to me in the past, things that had a lot of meaning to me, and things I truly appreciate. There's a book that Della Reese wrote, and it's called Angels Along the Way. And that's how I interpret some things that happened to me for no rhyme or reason, people that helped a circumstance that just righted itself. And and sometimes it happened with strangers. And I'd like to tell you about one time. Being a single parent, money is tight sometimes. You have to make $10 do what you need $50 to do. But I know one time I had ran out of, well, a couple of times, I had run out of fuel to heat the house. So I had to use what I had, and I would use the stove, put a pot of water on to boil. And one time I went to use the stove, and the oven didn't work. So I couldn't use that. So then I put a pot of boiling water on top of the stove, and that kind of warmed it up a little bit, but the windows were getting all fogged up. And then I felt embarrassed that I looked out the window and no one else's windows in the neighborhood were fogged up but mine. So it was before payday, and I had to have fuel in to heat the house. So I called this oil company. Never used them before, and I explained the situation. And I told him when I could pay him. And this guy said, "Okay, I'll do it for you this one time, but not again." So even though he didn't know me, he sent the truck up, they loaded it up with fuel, with oil. So then I had to get someone to come turn the furnace on. So that meant I had to get a plumber. I didn't have money for a plumber either. So I called a plumbing company, and the guy wasn't going to do it because he wanted me to pay him then. I said, "Well, I can't pay you till whatever." So he heard my son talking in the background. So he said, "Oh, you have children?" I said, "Yes, two." So he said, "I'll come, I'll do it for the children." He came, he started the furnace. I didn't have to pay him then, and he sent me a bill, an invoice, which I paid him when I said I was going to pay him. And that was a blessing because neither one of them they didn't have to do anything for me, but they did. I know another time I used to shop at this grocery store. A couple times I wrote a check and I didn't have the money, but I had to have groceries. And what they would do, well, I wrote the check. It was like, please let something be in there, but it wasn't. And so if you tried to write another check, they wouldn't accept it until you straighten out the first one. Well, here I go. It was on a Sunday. The store was absolutely packed. I needed groceries. I had children. If it was just me, you know, I could just wing it, but I couldn't with kids. So I'm standing in line, and when I came through, a manager that was on another aisle, he was bagging. That's what they used to do if the store was crowded. The manager from all different departments in the store would come and bag. He looked at me, and then the lady rung it up, and then when I gave her the check, it didn't go through. So he came over and took the check. He went over to the office where they go. He came back. He passed the check through, and he apologized like it was their fault twice in front of everyone. He apologized. "I'm really sorry that this happened. It's been straightened out." And I was so happy. I took the groceries home, and I used to see him around the store occasionally. And one time I told him, I thanked him. I said, "I really appreciate." I told him what the situation, what had happened, and I told him I really appreciated what you did. I told him why I appreciate it. I said I had to feed my children. Payday wasn't until another 3 or 4 days, and it meant a lot to me. And I told him thank you. So those are just two of the incidences that I could tell you about where I feel like there were angels along the way. And I believe that people are sent in your path sometimes when you really need that extra assistance. So just wanted to tell you about that. It's all with Yvonne. It's Yvonne from JK Lifestyles. Till next time. Bye.